The Zimbabwean educational system has imploded at every level. There are no textbooks, paper, or chalk. Only 23 days of normal learning took place in the last school year. Over 50,000 teachers have left the profession. Final exams were not being given or graded. Schools closed early for the holiday break. It is highly unlikely that schools will reopen to start the new term this year, so no schools will be open in Zimbabwe in 2009. It is difficult to imagine this meltdown happening in a country that is at peace, said an officer of the Zimbabwean Teachers Union, projecting a pass rate of only 3 in every 100 students if examinations were held. This is in direct contrast to Zimbabwe's previous literacy rates of more than 96%, one of the African continent's highest. How can a country go from 96% literacy to a projected 3% pass rate? Let's leave the children out of the picture for just a moment and focus on teachers who are caught in this meltdown. Most of the population of Zimbabwe is now below the poverty line, in an economy marked by the highest inflation rate in the world, more than 235 million%. Because the cost of everything doubles or triples each day, salaries just can't keep up. For example, in October of 2008, a teacher in the capital city of Harare reported that it was impossible for him to carry out his duties on a paltry monthly salary of 62,000 Zim dollars, which was US $1.10 at the time, and only covered the cost of 2 days bus fare to and from work, leaving no money to get back and forth the other 20 days of the month, nor for food, rent, water. Now, that same teacher's salary would be less than 1 US cent, and he would have to actually be paid in US currency. Since the Zimbabwean dollar is no longer accepted, it is worthless. Essentially, all business today within the country is conducted in foreign currency, like US dollars and the South African rand, if people can get foreign currency. Children play in piles of Zimbabwean million-dollar bills, which are trash. Although it is not their fault, teachers are being blamed for not educating students, even though they have no books, little or no salaries, and their schools and classrooms are vandalized. There is great shame at present in being a teacher. One reported to us that she hid her books under her coat on the bus so no one would know she was a teacher. Now let's turn to the children. Acute shortages of basic commodities, a crumbling health system, HIV/AIDS, cholera, and the lack of social safety nets has put both the young and old in crisis, with more than half the population needing food assistance in the beginning of 2009. Childhood waits for no one. Children are growing up and will never relive the days of youth again. Zimbabwe's children have lost a whole year of schooling, said UNICEF Representative Roland Monash. They are already suffering on multiple fronts. Denying them an education to better their prospects is unacceptable. In mid-2008, being acutely aware of the conditions we've discussed, RIM partners began to develop a vision for equipping those with a heart for the children of Zimbabwe to be educated, using teachers with little or no training, almost no textbooks, and perhaps one piece of paper a day. A supplemental weekly program was created. Students were grouped into levels, resources were gathered, lesson plans developed and carried into Zimbabwe in July of 2008. Leaders, educators, and students responded enthusiastically, finding great hope in the ideas that were shared. Thus, the RIM Zimbabwe Educational Program was born. The program focuses on strengths in the African culture, drawing upon oral tradition, music, and community ties. Volunteers give their time. Use of facilities is donated, with RIM providing funding for necessary teachers' materials. Variations of the program, drawing upon unique strengths and resources within the 3 distinct areas of Zimbabwe where RIM partners work, continue to move the vision forward, honing and tempering it and reinforcing one another. Let's zoom in for a moment and take a look at this in action. Bulawayo. RIM team members and teachers met in July of 2008. Within 2 days, over a dozen teachers had created a school that began to operate in the following month. The first school day convened with 14 teachers and 151 students from primary through high school. The school leader, Jean Sabanda, reported that the program had resuscitated the skills of the teachers, which were long shelved due to low salaries and poor working conditions. An eyewitness report from Luann Womble about that first day said, "The children in each group were very excited and engaged in what the teacher was presenting. At the end of the 2-hour session, the children were all upset at having to end the class and wanted to have the time extended. They did not want to leave." The program has since grown. Now there are over 250 students and 20+ teachers. Harare. Meetings were held in July with several groups of teachers and leaders, more than 40 persons in all. Resources were delivered and plans developed to start a weekly program at 11 sites across this large capital city, meeting the needs of hundreds of children by volunteer teachers. Wangi and Victoria Falls area. As the concept was shared, a professional educator was installed as coordinator and developer of the program in both the Wangi region as well as in the nation. Over 250 teachers have attended seminars presenting the vision. Zimbabwean leaders decided that outstanding professionals in their fields should develop a unique curriculum which will address national Zimbabwean standards and scope and sequences. The Zim school system has 3 terms of 3 months each in a school year. The most exciting news to report is that the entire first term's lessons have been prepared and are ready to be printed to start the program in February, regardless of what happens in the formal educational system. The challenge in Wangi, as well as in the other locations, besides lack of food, clean water, the cholera epidemic, the broad effects of HIV/AIDS, and the threat of schools not opening, is relatively simple. Printers, paper, and ink are needed to print the materials so teachers can teach. Longer-term challenges include support for teachers, since it is fairly difficult to keep up one's strength without basic life needs being met, especially since these teachers are working on a volunteer basis. Ongoing funds for printing materials are critical. Thousands more children could be educated in these programs if only teachers' materials could be printed. Additional monies for students to have notebooks, lab materials, chalk, and learning aids will multiply the possibility of what can be done. So what can you do? If you have a heart for education, consider sending support to pay for printers, paper, and ink to put materials into the hands of these willing and capable volunteers. Consider also sponsoring a site to support the teachers connected there with a monthly stipend of any amount. $150 will purchase a printer. $25 will provide 500 sheets of paper, and $40 will purchase ink. RIM also sends money monthly for food relief. $3 can feed a person for a month. Any amount, even the kind of money that jingles, will help change the lives of people an ocean away. Helping the children of Zimbabwe to get an education by donating to RIM is the most effective possible use of your dollar. 100% of what you give goes directly to nationals in Zimbabwe. RIM's administration is covered through other sources, so 10 cents donated here yields 10 cents over there. Your donation to RIM is tax deductible. For more information or to give a one-time gift or monthly support, contact us at addresses provided following this video. You can bring opportunity into a real person's life half a world away by enabling a teacher to teach or a child to learn. They are ready and willing to give everything they have to the task, and we invite you to help RIM build a future and a hope out of destruction. Thank you for your consideration. RIM looks forward to partnering with a greater alliance of people dedicated to good things for the precious children of the world.
Friend of the poor, help me through the night, help me in the fight, come to my